in the car with this guy, Master Joseph. Ooh, we just hit a little bump. On our way to Gravity Bicycles in Fullerton, Joseph is gonna get his suspension dialed in by Mike. This is a service that I just got done and it really blew my mind. My suspension could not have been more off, and it was great to know that it really got dialed in. So I'm gonna take you on that whole process as Mike breaks down Joseph's suspension, gets him dialed in so that he can ride his bike and have it set up for how he rides for the kind of trail he rides. Just got to Gravity Bicycles, and not only is Joseph getting his suspension dialed in, but he needed to. That is the loudest motorcycle. But they were actually working on his fork too. He had blown out a seal on his fork, so they're taking care of that before dialing in the suspension. So we're gonna hang with Mike, and Joseph's gonna be getting his suspension dialed in, and you get to see exactly what is involved in this service. And let me tell you, you're gonna wanna do this with every single bike you own. Gravity Bicycles is one of those shops that just feels like you're hanging out with old friends. So since Joseph had to get his fork worked on, Mike was explaining exactly what had to be done with it. We're gonna get some knowledge dropped on us right now from Mike. Mike's gonna tell us how to take care of our fork and make sure that we don't have the problem that this guy had.
So one of the things you want to do that's really important is you want to keep your seals clean right where they are at the stanchions. It's really prone to collect a bunch of dirt and grime down inside here. And a really easy way to do that is to just take like a microfiber towel and just wrap it around real quick and just work it in and out like that just for a couple seconds. That's really all it takes. It's super easy to do. Just give it a quick wipe, and that should be done before or after every ride, so that when you start a ride, your fork stanchions are nice and clean. Limit water use when you're cleaning a bike. Anytime you're using water excessively, it can be pushed down inside the forks. Again, they tend to pool there, and it will push and work its way past the seals, and it will push any dirt and grime inside of there. Another common mistake is people tend to use an external lubricant, and fork blades really do not like that. They want to be lubricated from the inside out. So that's why your lower leg services are really important to do frequently within the recommended time frames, so that you keep fresh lube and oil inside the fork, lubricating them from the inside out, not trying to shove oil down inside. The problem with that is that it collects dirt on the stanchions due to the lubrication, and then you're basically just sanding your fork legs. So it's just going to damage them. It's actually making the problem worse. You'd be better off just keeping it clean and dry than you would be using an external lube and stuff like that.
Same thing for a shock, a non-closed
Rear
shock?
shock, same basic type principles. Yep.
Thanks, Mike. So while Mike and Joseph wrap up the service that was done to his fork, let's bounce over to the shop side of Gravity Bicycles and check out all the sweet goodies. And you know what's cool? You can pick up your unspoken as well as your outsider jerseys exclusively at the Gravity Bicycle shop. Okay, let's bounce back over to the service side of Gravity Bicycles, where Mike has begun the suspension service. What I really loved about my experience and the experience that Joseph is having here is the individualized attention that Mike gives each and every person that comes in for the service. He asks where you ride, how you ride, and makes sure that that shock and fork is tuned just for you.
Yeah, I like that one right there.
Now, it's not just one and done. Mike's going to continue to refine your settings all along the way of this process. And he knows his stuff because he's the owner of Speed Tech Cycling, meaning not only will he dial in your suspension, but you can get hubs, spokes, and wheels from him. One of the things I loved most about the process was the fact that I left with a sense of having more knowledge of not just how my suspension works, but how it works for me. Mike really takes his time to make sure that he's explaining why he's doing what he's doing. Along the way, Mike makes meticulous notes about what he's finding with both your compression and rebound for your fork and shock. He wants to make sure that both are dialed in for exactly the kind of trails you ride and for your riding skill level. And you get to leave with a card that has that info on it. Every way along this entire process, Mike continues to refine what he's doing. He starts with a baseline and then continues to feel all aspects of the bike before he even asks you to take it outside and hop on it to see how it feels to you. And look who walked in just now. Brett Hall, Unspoken.
What's up, guys?
Unspoken stickers. Woo! Score! Now, most good bike shops are going to help you get your fork and your shock dialed in before you leave, but they're going to use some general numbers based on the manufacturer of your fork and your shock. The interesting thing about Gravity bicycles is the fact that they don't sell bikes, they service bikes, and they do it really well. So once Mike dials in your suspension and your shock inside, he's going to have you go outside to do some drills and look for some very specific things.
Make sure that the front and the rear are moving in unison, that the bike's not porpoising or doing anything goofy like this that'll cause you to have an upset bike as you're going over obstacles or landing on jumps. They could be kicking you off of the jump or on landing.
And again, along the way, Mike isn't just dialing in your suspension, he's taking the time to answer all of your questions and dropping serious knowledge. Right now, he's about to tell Joseph exactly the course he wants him to run in the parking lot so that Mike can see just how that fork and shock are reacting to Joseph as a rider. And after a few laps, Mike notices some improvements that can be made, so he continues to get those things dialed in to make sure it's right for you. Now, it's not enough to hit some curbs and call it a day, so Mike's about to have Joseph go down a set of steps so he can see how the bike performs when things are ramped up.
Right now, we're just looking at how much is being used on some little stutter bumps on a quick little descent like that, just making sure that we're still balanced on those type of hits. We're getting ready to do a big hit test now, where we're going to be doing a repetitive 3-foot drop to flat. So that's going to be a little bit bigger test to make sure that we're not set up too fast and that he can stick the landing.
Now, I don't know about you all, but I do not know that much about my suspension. I want to know more, but it helps so much to have the expertise of someone like Mike, especially when things ramp up and you start dropping off of stairs. It's really cool to have someone with Mike's experience watch you huck it off a set of steps about 3 to 4 feet high while he's watching exactly what your bike is doing. And if it's not what he wants it to do, he's going to bring that bike right back inside, open that fork up, check out how many spacer tokens you have, and absolutely make sure that you are getting your money's worth and that you are going to be all smiles out on the trail with how your bike performs. With a few tokens removed, Joseph is back out to hucking those steps. And with everything dialed in, not just to Mike's liking, but to Joseph's liking too, Mike records the final numbers. Gravity Bicycles keeps a record of this, and as I mentioned, Mike is going to make sure Joseph leaves with a card that has all those numbers on it. Listen, don't assume your suspension is dialed in properly. Know it is. Give Gravity Bicycles a call and tell them Adam Mock sent you. Spend an hour with Mike, and for $100, you're going to get more than your money's worth. So give Gravity Bicycles a shout, get dialed in, and get back out on the trails. Until next time, peace and love.
Say what you want, say what you will. I miss the ride that I knew. All of this heaven exploding above is a beautiful mess. It's beautiful.